I'm so glad you decided to join me tonight. I am recording. That's another thing. Somebody may want to keep an eye on me to make sure that I record, because I am notorious for not recording. But the reason I record is because everything will be kept. Next week, when you look into the shell for this week, after a day or two, you'll see the recording for the meeting, just in case you miss it. So welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. One of the ground rules that I respect and would like to have out of you is that we start on time, and I promise you that we will end on time. So let me begin by sharing my screen. I want to welcome you all and congratulate you on a semester almost over. I know you are excited about that. Anybody excited about it or not? I guess you all are not excited about it, so we'll get you a little bit more excited about it as we go. By the way, if everybody could be muted, and then if you want to ask me a question, that helps to keep from having background music, background noise. But I do encourage you to stop me at any time. One of the other things that I'm really bad at, and that is to chat. And so if you send me something to chat and I haven't answered it in a minute or two, you may want to kind of raise your hand or just say, Dr. Stone, can you answer this, or can you help me with that? So really I'm not the best at that, but I will try to keep an eye on that. I want to welcome you to 605, MELS 605. This is the last course that you will need before you graduate in May. Congratulations to you all. I have gone on to TaskStream and have looked at how you've done in the past, and you all have done extremely well. So this should be a very easy semester for you. That said, Mr. Burris, Dr. Burris is going to be joining us. I don't see him on my screen. So Dr. Burris, when you come in, just let me know, and I will give you an opportunity to address the class. I am combining two classes. I have two sections of 605, the only 605 offered this semester. So therefore, we'll have possibility of any given time 30 folks in our shell or in our class. So I can only see a few of you on the screen. So please stop me and just simply say, Dr. Stone, can I ask you something? I really do relate well and prefer that. I want to spend, until Dr. Burris is here, I want to spend some time talking about the Blackboard shell, some of the expectations for this semester, and then kind of walk through two different things that I want to talk about tonight. But by the way, I want to bring you to your Blackboard shell. And the two class Blackboard shells are very similar. There is the first thing that you need to do, all of you, please take 1 minute to do this, and that is your enrollment verification activity. That needs to be done. Probably takes about a minute. If you have not done that, please take a minute to do that right now, because that's important for Gardner-Webb University. In order to continue on with the course, at some point they'll stop. If you haven't done the enrollment verification activity, they will stop your access. So please, if you've not done that, I went today and looked, and a good number of you have, but please take a moment to do that. Click on that and fill that out for me. Here is information about your instructor. There is my cell phone number. That's my personal cell phone number. Feel free to text me or call me. Here is my Gardner-Webb email, which comes to my telephone, which I immediately see. There's a little introductory video there, but I understand it may be a corrupt link, so I've added it someplace else. And then there's some course introductions and welcome. There's the two textbooks. If there were some confusion about the textbooks and you've already gone through the university bookstore here, contact them. If there's a book that you've gotten that we don't need, they'll work with you on that. The grading scale is pretty simple. No one's going to make a C, of course, but all A. There are no A pluses or A minuses. It's a very simple scale, A, B, C, based on 90%, 80%, and 70%. We've already done the next steps. The one thing I want you to also look at, and go ahead and put this on your calendar. These have already been established by the department here. There's some very important dates for you this semester. I know all of you have, almost all I think, have completed the first 5 evidences, which means you just have that one left. Well, that one has to be in TaskStream by April the 27th at 9 o'clock in the morning. And all of that, which most of you would just simply be the PSYOP. All of that has to be in TaskStream. And that means if you have not finished the CAP, which I think there may be one of you that has not completed that, then you'll need to make sure you have that in there. We have to have all 6 of them, because this is your graduating semester. We have to have everything. There are also in TaskStream, there are the disposition, the competency analysis, the final competency folio, and the internship logs. Dr. Burles is going to talk about those, and we'll talk about those some as well, but those have to be completed as well before this course is completed. At some point soon, you're going to have to apply for graduation. That is a $75 fee. And then on May the 9th, there's a graduation. Don't know quite the time for that yet, but there will be a reception to follow. Want to see all of you there with your families. The syllabus is here, support services. There's a refresher for task stream, as well as my original welcome to you. So all of this is on your Blackboard shell, and I invite you to look at it and to spend a little time on it. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, and so then we will, since there's so many of you, I was going to go around and have you each talk a little bit about yourself, but since there's so many of you, I'm going to forego that. All of you know each other, I suspect, at this point. I am Dr. Steve Stone. I have been at Gardner-Webb University now for about 1.5 years, and all of that year and a half, I've worked in the MELS program as well as in the doctoral program for school administrators. So at some point, when you graduate from the MELS program and you feel like you're ready to jump back into it, I would welcome you into our doctoral program, educational leadership program here at Gardner-Webb. At some point, if you want to ask me about what's the requirements for it, I'll be glad to talk with you about that as well. But I work in the MELS program as well as in the doctoral program. I've been here about 1.5 years. I also do dissertations. I'm a dissertation chair, dissertation committees. I serve on a number of committees as well. I have been a classroom teacher. I've been a high school classroom teacher. I taught social studies, and I've been an assistant principal, central office director, and I've been a superintendent in 3 different school districts in the state of North Carolina, and retired from Caldwell County, which is right in Lenore. Retired from there about 1.5 years ago, 1.5 years ago, and have been here at Gardner-Webb since. I have 20 years of experience as a superintendent, so I'm hoping that that's something that we can play upon as you have questions, or as we talk about what ifs, or if there's ever an opportunity you want to kind of stick around after class and ask me, I'm running into this, what do you suggest? Do you have any ideas for me? I would be glad to be that kind of resource for you. So we'll do that, and the way the class will be formatted is we will always start at 6, we'll finish at 6:45, and everybody can leave at 6:45, because the meeting won't end, but I will turn off the recording. And I'll stick around from 6:45 until 7 if anyone is there, and I'll answer any kind of personal questions you have or anything that you want to ask me. So the course runs from 6 to 6:45. I'll stick around as long as someone wants to ask me questions or pick my brain, or we can talk further about something but I turn off the recording, so at that point it'll be the end of the meeting. So feel free to leave. You don't need to stick around for that unless you particularly want to. But I do hope that you will utilize some of the experience that I've had as a superintendent and as a principal as you are preparing for that particular job, or one of those jobs at least. And as you become a principal, the next thing you want to do is you want to go to central office, and then you're going to want to be a superintendent. I can almost guarantee it. I can look at your faces and tell that's exactly what you want. The few faces I can see right now. Some other things about the Blackboard. And again, remember, I'm not the best about chatting, so please stop me. Dr. Bullis, are you here yet? Not yet. Okay, let's look at Blackboard. There are a couple of things I want to talk to you about the way I conduct the class. One of the things that you've noticed is I sent you an invitation about 5 minutes ago. Most of my colleagues have moved toward putting one link that you use all semester. Once I figure out how to do that and make that work, I think I've already got it down here under Zoom invitation links. I'm not sure it works yet, but so it's there and we can try it, but every week I will send you about 5 to 10 minutes before the class, I will send you the link. And you can either use this one if it works, this particular link here. And I've got to play with it tomorrow and the next couple of days to make sure that it does work. But you can always expect 10 to 5 minutes before class on Tuesday night, there will be a link for you to join us in the class. And that's sort of a little reminder for you as well. Hey, don't forget, Tuesday night, we always have this little gathering. But looking at the overview, this will be the last time you get the MELS overview from us. So just know that there's the section here on My Grades is where you go to see how well you're doing. I want to call your attention to the weekly class schedule. And you can click on this. Everything, I believe, is open to you. But I want to share with you the dates that we will be meeting and not meeting. We're going to meet every Tuesday night except for 2 between now and May the 5th. Every time it's going to be at 6 o'clock. And generally on this particular schedule, what I have for you is the list of the topic or the book, the Hershey and the Glickman book. This is the topic that are covered through those chapters. Those are the textbook references or resources that you'll be reading. So under week 1, you know, and I understand that you're working professionals, so try not to get behind, but I understand 1 week you can't do all the reading. But this is a really good, handy little chart that tells you kind of what the expectations are for each one of the weeks. So for the first week tonight, hopefully you'll have read or will read Hershey chapter 1 and 2 and Glickman 1, 2, and 3. In the Blackboard, you would have entered assignment 1, and I'm going to go over that in a minute. And at this point, there's nothing that you need to do in task stream. Okay, so next week when we meet on the 21st, these are the topics. Assignment 2 should be there for me to grade. And at that point, thank you, Dr. Bullis. I'm glad you're here. And I'm going to turn it over to him in just a second. But at that point, you'll see what's required of you in task stream. So, Dr. Bullis, I will turn it over to you. We have just started, and by my count, we have a good number of our colleagues here, 21 of the 30. So that's a good count. Dr. Bullis?
Good deal. Thank you, Dr. Stone.
Do you want me to stop sharing?
No, that's okay. Go ahead and just leave up what you got, and then if I need to take over the share, I will, and I appreciate that. It's good to see everybody. I apologize for being late, but had about 2 parent phone calls right at the leaving time, and that kept me from leaving on time and kind of put me behind getting here. Good to see everybody again. I'm glad to be working with you as we finish up the last semester. Dr. Stone, thank you for organizing and hosting this Zoom session. Just briefly, I know Dr. Stone was getting into kind of the assignments and the schedule and how things are going to play out this semester. Kind of had a conversation with you guys last semester. I feel like that everyone that is in Dr. Stone's class, I was your clinical coach last semester. There may be some people that are new. I don't know that there are, but if you'll send me an email, then kind of get you oriented to kind of the way we do things or whatever. I did send an email out to everyone today with the Zoom session. 605 is a little different, as you all know by now, because we kind of talked about this last semester. You know, we're at the end of the gradual release of responsibility model. So we're at the point where you do and I look on. And that's basically how we set up a 605 class. I will be joining Dr. Stone 3 times this semester, here for the first class, in the middle, and towards the end. But with that being said, and you guys know me well enough to know that, as always, if you have questions or you need a individual Zoom session, or you want to get together with your a small group or your peer group and have a Zoom session, I'm available to schedule that at any time. Now, I'm teaching 2 cohorts, or not teaching, excuse me, I'm coaching 2 cohorts of 601, 2 cohorts of 602, and this cohort is 605. So if you feel like you need to Zoom with me, let's go ahead and let me know about a week ahead of time. We can schedule something out. With 605, as far as what I kind of support you in, that is getting your evidence to task stream, and that's the school improvement action plan for this semester. Also, as we get into task stream, you're going to be submitting your SIAP, the SIAP, and that's your school improvement action plan. You'll be doing your final School of Ed dispositions, your final competency analysis, your competency folio analysis. You'll be finishing up your competency folio. You'll be finishing up your internship hours, and you'll be logging those internship hours into the DRF. So it's going to be busy, but it's going to be good because you'll be graduating. In regards to the school action plan, when we're at this point, really want to show your creativity and show kind of it's a culminating evidence of what you've done up to this point. There's no template for it. There's not really any samples for you to look at, and it's designed that way because the expectation is that you use everything, all your experiences, all your knowledge, your content knowledge, and your theoretical knowledge, and the experiences that you've had in your internship. Kind of draw on all of that and use that to complete the SIAP. Just happened the other day. My superintendent came in the office and said, "I want you to design this for the schools." He didn't give me a template. He didn't even give me a rubric of what he wanted. He gave me several talking points. And so I am having to use my creativity and my experience to form that piece of information from him. And so what did I do? I'm doing some research. I'm contacting some of my colleagues in my network of support professionals that I have and getting their opinions. I'm getting feedback from some of my team members. And so I'm designing this project as it will be beneficial, hopefully, to the system and what the superintendent wants, but I've got very little direction on it. So that's the world of school administration. You may get the same type of information from your superintendent, wants to give you a project and wants you to do something for the Board of Education, and you're kind of left on your own after that. So this is kind of a real life experience here with the School Improvement Action Plan. Fortunately, you do have the rubric. Dr. Stone, can I share?
Go ahead. I'll stop sharing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Let me get my full screen back up and take over the share here. And I'm hoping, Dr. Stone, can you see the school
Yes.
scale documents out on screen? Okay, great. Thank you, sir. With this, you've got 6 tasks, but it is a school improvement action plan, and you work with a team collaboratively to design this. Your first task is really looking over all your data. That is attendance, discipline, school achievement, EVOS data, anything pertinent to student achievement, benchmark results, everything. You're pulling that stuff in. Some of the common questions: can I use things that I have used in the past? Can I draw on some of the other evidences? Yes, we've actually went through that process before with some of the other evidences in 604. Don't recreate anything that's relevant and pertinent to this. You can use the teacher working conditions information in task 2. And task 1, you can pull on all the data that you pulled in, plus some new things. I don't know if you looked at attendance or discipline, or certainly EVOS data. You can look at that. Those are the first 2 tasks. The second task is the analysis of the teacher working condition survey. And just use your creativity and how that needs to look. Always, as you know, we go down to the rubric and we base what we're doing based off what the rubric says. So you may want to pay particular attention to that as well. If you have any questions, contact me. Like I said, we'll do a Zoom session. We'll talk on the phone. We'll exchange emails if that's what it takes. This semester in task stream, briefly, and we can go over this, but in task stream, let me pull that up. As always, you're going to be working in the DRF and the competency folio. And I'm a visual teacher and a visual learner, so I like to pull things up on the screen while I talk. So if you haven't already looked at this, in 605, you're to complete the SIAP, you're to complete the School of Ed dispositions, and you're to complete the competency analysis. My recommendation to you is not to do the School of Ed disposition and the competency analysis until you've completed the evidence. Because the thought behind that is once you have gained all the experience of your evidences and most of the content knowledge you'll be getting in the course, then fill out the School of Ed dispositions and the competency analysis and see where you're at that point, kind of like at the end of the semester. If you do it and it comes to me for evaluation, I won't evaluate it probably until we get later on 2/3 into the semester. I won't review it early, so it may sit there for a while. You'll also be finishing up your competency folio, and we'll talk more about this when we get closer to it, but there's a specific way to take your competency folio and put that information in here into the DRF. Do not worry about that now. We'll go over that in more detail later. And you'll also be finally logging your internship log. So the DRF, to wrap up and finish graduation, here's what you need to do. One of the most important things this semester is make sure that you have completely filled in each competency in the competency folio with the artifacts. That's 2 from the evidence and 1 open-ended. Make sure that that's up to date. We worked really hard, as you know, on this in 604 to try to get everything up to date so you wouldn't be behind the 8 ball as finishing this up. Just please make sure that you have that in good shape. You don't want that to be a hindrance to you as your graduation by having everything done but having an incomplete competency folio. I'll be happy to help you with that anyway. There was an earlier question about the digital learning competencies. Please note that you are not mandated to highlight or draw attention to the digital learning competencies. You're showing those by default through the artifacts that you show and the way that you address the rubric for each evidence for each competency. So you don't have to do that. If you choose to do that to get DLC credit, and that's something that you want to do on your own for yourself to get DLC credit coming from your human resources department, not coming from Gardner Webb. If you'll contact me separately, I'll give you some more information on how to do that. It's relatively simple. It's just a matter of highlighting what you consider DLC credit. Now, just because we say you can do this doesn't mean it can happen. You'll need to talk to your HR department, whoever your digital learning facilitator is in your school system, to see if they'll accept that and grant DLC credit. So there's a little more involved to it. If you're interested in doing that, just contact me individually and we'll talk about that. Any questions for me at this point?
One of the things that I want to share with the class, since Dr. Barrows and I will be working together, when you start working on your SIOP, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and part 5 and 6, one of the things that I would like in working with him would be for you to send it to him first. Dr. Bullis to have a chance to look at it, and then once he feels comfortable that you have met the requirements of TaskStream and that he's comfortable with what you've written, then submit it to me for a grade as well, and I'll show you where to do that. But what I am looking for when you send me SIOP Task 1 is somewhere in the comments that Dr. Bullis has looked at this and has approved it. That tells me that he's looked at it, he's comfortable that it's sitting with me, and then he and I look at it from different lenses, and it may not always, it may 95% of the time, I'm sure we'll have the same opinion of it, but there may be a comment that I'd like for you to add or something. So in all things SIOP, make sure you send Task 1, get his approval, and then send it to me for submission to me.
Yeah, that may be a little bit different than the way it's been done in the past, but this is a good process to get you in shape, make sure that's in good shape to go to TaskStream. We will use the same review approval process in Blackboard that we have ever since we've been together since 601. You send it to the review tab in Blackboard for feedback. I'll give you feedback and comments. If any revisions are needed, you make the revisions, send it back to me. If it's in good shape, I'll tell you to put it into the Dropbox and we'll get a grade on it. That helps me track point-wise where you're at and what you've accomplished in Grade Center. But if it's okay with Dr. Stone, you can in that comment section where it's in Grade Center where it's been given 100, and I will say in the comment section, ready to go to Dr. Stone, or please send to Dr. Stone. You could even do a snippet or a screenshot of that and send it to Dr. Stone in the email, so he'll know at that point in time that it's good to go.
And it will be perfect by the time it goes between the two of us. We'll work on
Absolutely.
that. Right.
Absolutely. Dr. Stone, I'm going to stop sharing now. Thank you for giving me the steering wheel for a little bit.
More than welcome. All right. So are there any questions for Dr. Bullis? Because
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Dr. Bullis, are we still using the same peer review feedback template that we've been using this entire time?
Yes, Alan, you are. I am also going to defer to Dr. Stone if there's something different that he would prefer. Certainly, that's what we'll do. But just from my standpoint, yes, we'll be using the same form unless there's something we need to do different from Dr. Stone.
Okay, and I'll tell you from as being the instructor on this end, I'm not going to require peer reviews of anything except for one big project that you're going to do together. So I don't have a place for that in discussion boards for you to comment on each other's. So it's not, because at 605 you've already done that in all the other courses. So in 605 I'd like for you to kind of stand alone with your work, and there will be one opportunity for peer review, but none of the things that go into assignments except for your group work. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail.
Dr. Bullis, are you going to require peer reviews?
You know, from 601 to 604, the peer review process has basically been at the discretion of the course instructor. If Dr. Stone's fine with it, I am fine with that as well. I think he made a good point when he said, you know, kind of let this be your standalone work, your experienced candidates, and you kind of know what the expectations of the university and the rubric are. So from my part, I will not require peer reviews as well, and that way we'll just kind of take that piece off of the plate.
We have a lot for you to do this semester, so I think that's one piece that you've already accomplished and you can mark off as competent. So, but there is one, and I'll talk to you about that, but that's through me and Blackboard, not through Dr. Bullis.
Great. So just for point of clarification, get your paper in the best shape, your document in the best shape that you can get it to in. You feel comfortable with it, send it to me in the review tab in Blackboard. In the internship shell, you should already have access to the internship shell. I know that my 601 candidates are being populated in there over the next week or so. For that reason alone, it may be inaccessible to you for a period of time. If that's the case, just hold on, and then when you can access it, just go ahead and start putting those documents in there for task 1 for review and feedback.
Are there any additional questions? All right. Dr. Bullis, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, I believe.
Okay, guys, email me. And like I said, we'll Zoom, we'll talk, we'll email, whatever you need. It's good to work with y'all again, and excited to see you all graduate. Y'all have a good next few weeks, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks then. Thank you, Dr. Stone.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to continue on talking about the discussion about the Blackboard shell. So really what I want to call your attention to is this is called assignments. This is not discussion board. So as you have been used to discussion board where you can follow threads and comment on each other and do assignments, you don't do that in 605. All I want you to do is to answer the question or do the video or do the assignment and then turn it in directly to me. So there is no peer reviews. There's nothing like that. There's no following a thread and talking and sharing comments. It's just basically you doing your work and turning it in. So everything that you need to turn in for me will be in the assignments tab. And here you see the assignments all the way down to, I think there are 15 assignments, 1 per week. There are 5 scenarios. And then there is the digital competency joint presentation that we're going to do, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So if you're looking for where do I turn in my materials, it's here, discussion board. I'm sorry, not discussion board, assignments. You turn it in there. It is an unlimited attempt. So if you turn in something and I send it back with an 80, and everything here is for 100 points. If I turn it back with an 80 and I tell you that I'd like to see this added to it, that is totally up to you. If you're comfortable with the 80, take it. If you'd like to get to the 100, you have an opportunity to resubmit as many times as you'd like till we get to that 100. And I would encourage you to get to the 100. You're all a master's level students. The other place that you will have under not assignments, but is course assessments. These are the two places in which you will be entering work. Here is, once you have gone through Dr. Bullis and he's given you and has written and has said it's okay, send it on to Dr. Stone. Here is where you will submit task 1 all the way down to task 6 and the final paper. So once Dr. Bullis has said this is great, then you'll submit here, and in the comment section you will write to me that Dr. Bullis has approved and said to send this on to you. When we get here to the final paper, you will submit, you'll put all those 6 things together. You will take away some of the headings and some other things that should not be in a paper that goes into your evidence. You'll submit it as one big document. I want to look at it one more time before it goes into task stream to make sure that we can get the 3.5s, the 4s, the kinds of grades that we want you to have. So let me repeat, there are only 2 places that you will be putting assignments for me to grade. That's in assignments and in course assessments. Now the other thing I want to talk to you about is that one big project that you're going to have to do this semester. All of you will be assigned to a team if you've not already looked at this, and you will be given an assignment. Here is the assignment. One cohort is in the teal color, the other is not. The way to read it, on January the 28th, Group A, here's the members. You will be doing a presentation of about 10 to 15 minutes on the North Carolina Executive Standard 1. Group C, which are these folks, you will be doing the peer review. This is the one time that you will have to turn in a peer review from me. So Group A will be doing the presentation. Group C will be doing the peer review. So if I were you, I'd find where you are, and I would make sure that you are here for your presentation. I know this course is one that you can watch the tape a little bit later on, but the night which your group is presenting, you must be here for that. I want to see all 3 of you here for the presentation night. Now, if you are one of those teams doing the peer review, of course, you can watch the tape a little bit later on. You don't necessarily have to be here that night. So find out where you are under presentations. That's what your presentation title will be. I'll give you some guidance in a minute. And that is the date that you'll be presenting. And it will probably be around 6:10, 6:15 in which you'll be doing your presentation. This up above this are the standards. So when I say Executive Standard 1, if you click on this, you'll see what the North Carolina Standards for School Executives are. So Group A, you will be presenting on the competency standard. All of this is not necessary. So this is your, you can ignore, I should have gotten rid of the schedule and themes, but this is, well, no, this is okay. This is your title. This is the team that's presenting. This is your date that you are presenting, and this is the one that you're going to do. So Group A is doing the competency on change. So you'll be responsible for leading a PLC with the rest of us, talking about the standards for school executives, particularly the change competency. You are explaining it to us. You are working through it with us in a PLC setting. So that's the North Carolina competency standards. Let me go back to where I was. All right, and this is all under team presentations. This is where team presentations. This is the North Carolina digital competencies, the same thing. You'll have the competencies there. Now, we'll talk about this before we get into that first team meeting, but what you need to do at this point is to reach out to the people that are on your team, and they're in your cohort, and make sure that you have a way to communicate with them, because on the night of the presentation, it'll be immediately turned over to the 2 of you or the 3 of you, and you will take over the class and be leading us in a 10 to 15 minute presentation. Now, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you being a PLC. You're sharing some information with us, the rest of us, in a PLC meeting. You can do it through a PowerPoint. You can do it through whatever method you want to use, but you have about 15 minutes to do that. Now, If you are the team that's doing the peer review, here is the peer review template that you will fill out for that. So when team A is presenting, team C, you will click on the template and you will fill out that template and submit it to me for a review of team A's work. Now, all of this work that you're doing for team A, presenting on that particular standard, is going to be based on information from 3 different data sources: the Advanced Ed Snapshot, a school district report card, and the Teacher Working Conditions Survey. So as a team, the 2 of you are going to get together and you're going to pull down those 3 sources of data. And you're going to say, this is the school that we're in. This is what Advanced Ed said about us. This is what our report card says. And this is what the Teacher Working Conditions Survey says. So in that PLC meeting that you're doing, that 15-minute session on the North Carolina Executive Standard 1, you are going to tailor that to those 3 pieces of information. If you see something in those 3 pieces of information that needs to be addressed after you read Standard 1, then that's what you're sharing with your PLC. You're not just telling us what Standard 1 is. You're telling us that based on these 3 data points, this is what we need to learn in a PLC here at my school. And we will talk more about this. I'll give you an example, but that's where you find all of the information about your presentation. Any questions on this right away? All right. Here's some the PSYOP guidance. This is what if you want to look at this will give you some ideas. The PSYOP is, as Dr. Bullis says, it's accumulation of everything that you've done in the other 5 products. It is not a cut and paste, but it does, in this particular guidance, it does give you some, if you click on it, it does, as you can see, when you start working on task 1, anything you see here in red, that will tell you this is where you've done this before. So if I'm working on task 1, well, here's task 1 up here. If I'm working on task 1, then I know that I can go back to the script, task 1, prompt 1, if you saved all that, which you did, and I can find, and there's going to be a lot of the information that I need for the PSYOP task 1. So when we talk about this being the big culminating project, it's because you're taking everything you've done on the other 5 evidences and you're kind of making them into one strong school improvement plan or action plan. But this, if you see it in red, this is where you have had that information before. So this is sort of a little cheat sheet for you. So you can say, you'll be thinking, yeah, we've done that before. Well, here's where you did it. So there is, under each one of the prompts, you have a red source telling you where you have done this before. So that is all over here under the PSYOP guidance for you to look at there. Some of the other things. Here's the North Carolina digital competencies you'll be using with your peer teams. There's the standards. And then after that, you have each one of the class sessions. And so class session 1 tonight, this is always, you will start with the work that needs to be done. This is what you found in your calendar. Hersey chapter 1, Glickman chapter 1 and 2. And in Blackboard by now, maybe many of you have already done your assignment 1 as well as your video information. I shared with you that my video link some people were having trouble with it. If you want to see how to do that introductory video for 100 points, it's right here. Here's the one that I did for you. It is there as an example. Yours has to be about a minute, just basically introducing yourself to me. Here are some of our class rules and norms. We're always going to start on time. If I'm not here at 6 o'clock, something's wrong with me, or a little earlier, because it's something happened, because I always start on time. This area of listening, I don't want to do all the talking. The beauty and the value of this class is when you have an opportunity to share your personal experiences and we learn from each other. So listening is encouraged, but I also encourage you to share. Do mute yourself during the class, because you'll find that there's a lot of feedback going on in your home or wherever you're recording from or you're listening from. So if you will mute and then unmute when you have a question. We do maintain confidentiality. When I tell you I'm going to stick around after the 6:45 time, the typing, the recording's off. Anything that's said there is all in confidential. I do expect you to participate, particularly the one night that I do require you to be here is the night that your group is doing your presentation. And I do want you to learn something from this course. I want it to become quite valuable to you. You are familiar with the School of Education's conceptual framework. If not, go and look at that little short video. There are two things here again are the important dates that are the things you want to put on your calendar. So that said, I'm going to stop to see if there are any questions before I very quickly talk about the major leadership theories and the 10 challenges that confront school administrators today, and see whether or not you agree. Are there any questions for me?
The only question I have is, I don't, in glancing at the team rosters, it doesn't seem like I have been assigned to a team. So I don't know if registration was just kind of done a little late, but my first name is
Ms. Smith, tell me your first name.
Tanya. Last name is Smith.
And you are not on a group.
Right.
Well, that's because you're not on my roster. Well, Tanya?
Yes.
Okay, I'll check to see where to put you. I'll give you a group.
Okay, thank you.
Look for it later on tonight.
Thank you.
All right, are there any questions about the format? I don't like to talk all night. I really would prefer that you join in and talk with me, but everything you need is right here. Remember, everything that you are required to turn in to me under assignment, 100 points. Everything under course assessments, this is after Dr. Bullis has said, this is good work, goes under the course assessments, that's worth 200 points. This team presentation is worth 200 points. 100 points for the presentation and 100 points for the evaluation rubric or the feedback rubric. So you'll get 200 points on that as well. All right. Are you still with me, everybody? All right, good deal. The leadership, I'm not going to read this to you. I'm not going to do it to you, but in this course is all about leadership and the qualities of leadership. But there are several different leadership theories. The great man theory, this is one that has been around for a long time. It's kind of fallen out of favor now, but it's this idea that you're born to it, that you are absolutely, this is what your life was intended. Your your daddy was a great natural leader, your whole family, your granddaddy, you can trace it back. This is a theory that we don't believe in much anymore. It's a theory of privilege, where if you come from that kind of family. And in the South, it's one that has been around for a very, very long time, but not just the South, all around the country. But it really is that, you're just born into this family, therefore you are born to it. The trait theory, of course, says that you have certain traits that really make you a great leader. I really like this one because these are traits that can be developed. The great man theory, if you're not born in the right family or the right side of the track or at the right time, then perhaps you're not going to develop. But the trait theory really does give you an opportunity to have some personal traits and develop those traits. And all of us have some of those traits, but all of us could, of course, and we hope through coursework and through your times in MELS that we've helped you to develop some of those. Contingency theory based with that people rise to the occasion, that people will, when something happens, that good leaders are able to really kind of take stock of what's needed and then rise to that occasion. So they kind of read their following. Situational, very similar to the other in that this is where a situation requires a certain kind of leadership, and that person rises to the occasion for that. This is also the populist theory, where it's something that's kind of a big thing going on or a situation, and the populists are usually the ones who rise to that. The behavioral theory is that people have certain, it's really more on the actions of a person. You just exhibit those kinds of strong behaviors. It's really not something that you're born with. These again are some things that you can learn. Participatory theory, or the participative theory, is probably the one that's the most favored now, and that is that you're the type of person that can pull people together and make decisions and be a leader. The management theory is based on rewards and punishments. I really hope this one is falling out of favor with all of you. I hope when you become that principal or that assistant principal, you don't rule by carrot and stick, which is what this one is. I hope all of you certainly embrace character trait or the theory 8, which is about relationships. And that is probably the big one that we use in education now. So later on, if I were to ask you to identify your leadership style, I hope most of you would say you're in that relationship traits. But if not, I hope that you say that's where you're trying to go to, because the relationship theory embraces parts of the others that makes them a lot stronger. So that's the good one. And if you're ever asked, and I doubt you'll ever be asked in an interview, what's your theory of leadership or where do you fall? I would hope you maybe not say relationship theory, but I hope you'll say something about it's all about relationships. And we'll talk more about that. All right. The next thing I want to talk to you about, and this is all open to you, and that is the 10 challenges. This is from a recent article, and I am almost out of time, so I'm just going to open it up and show it to you. But these are the 10 challenges facing principals now. I would like at some point some of your feedback about it, but if you are thinking about becoming an administrator, this was research done last year about the challenges and the opportunities that administrators have to deal with and will continue to deal with in the coming years. Look at them, tell me what you think. Here they are, the top 10 things that will be a challenge for you as an administrator. Not to scare you, but to simply tell you, be prepared when you step into the assistant principal's role or you step into the principal's role. These are the 10 things that are the 10 challenges that you'll be met. There are no surprises here. You can see all 10 of them. Paperwork, we die from that. Decision-making, scheduling, recruitment, the evaluation, attendance and discipline, curriculum design, not so much number 7 as some of the others. Student outcomes, you live and die by that, and your job probably depends to some great degree on how you get results, parental involvement, and of course your communication and collaboration. So that said, let me bring you back to the front page.
You have 10 minutes until you're going to do a reading.
And let me see, does anyone before we close for tonight have a question for me? I am going to be working on this Zoom link, but always look for a link from me about 5 minutes before class starts, and it will definitely get you in. I'm going to continue to work with that. I think I have some problems with that. All your assignments go here. Go ahead and get started on your assignments and start looking at your team presentations. Find out who's on your team, reach out to them, and we'll talk a little bit more about the format that I would like to see for us to do those. Are there any questions for me?
Dr. Stone.
Yes.
On the assignments, are they due on the Tuesdays or due by the end of the week that they're listed under?
Okay, so let me say this. I am not concerned about dates at all. My only concern is at the end of this semester, you've done everything you need to do. So if you're having a very rough week, you don't get a call, you get assignment 1. There are no hard, fast due dates for assignments except by the end of the semester. So if you can get ahead and do 5 or 6 of them and then have a dry spell where you can't do any, I am fine with that. There are no hard due dates. Now, when you get down here to the course assessments, there are no hard due dates for these either, but I would definitely encourage you to try to stay pace with these because these are the biggies. And these are the things that determine whether or not you are certified by the state of North Carolina. No hard due dates. As long as I have them by the end of the semester, and probably about midpoint, I'll start sending you emails saying, hey, you're falling behind. I need these things. Please get them into me. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. I am now looking for your Zoom, your personal introduction videos. So if you don't mind, those are here under assignments where you enter that. I look forward to that. I'm looking forward to this semester. And again, I can be reached either at this phone number, my cell phone number, or I do go to bed at about 9:30 at night. So just remember anything but after 9:30, I'll probably better go to voicemail or through my email, Gardner Webb email. I will send everything to you through your Gardner Webb email. All right. I am going to stop recording. And we are done for